Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Astrology Today and Tarot. My name is Mel Rose. This is the Tarot portion in the second half of my daily astrology vlog, which you can check out on my other channel, Astrology Today with Mel Rose. Over there, you'll find a description of the day's astrology as I have spelled it out here. Here I will discuss a tarot card that sits on the side of the page, and then I will play another card that, in the context of the day's astrology, may give us something more to think about. So let's get into it. The card that sits on the side of the page right now is the Six of Cups, and it is here because it correlates in astrology with the second 10 days or the second decan of the sun's transit here in the land of Scorpio. Scorpio is a water sign, and cups in tarot are water element symbolism. And water element symbolism is very much about our emotions, how it feels when we have experiences. What kind of physical sensations do we also have? What kind of questions arise? What kind of information do we get from the way things make us feel, right? So we come to the Six of Cups, and this is meant to be a point of reverie. It's sort of looking back on a fond memory, perhaps, of somebody who included us and helped us, or just, of being in a memory of being part of something that made us feel, sort of happy and fulfilled at some point in our life. It's a little bit of a confusing card because you see this smaller person who I think is intended to be a child actually looks a little like a grown woman. And then this larger person is definitely bigger than the smaller person, but they also kind of look like a child. And then the other thing is that, it's very bright out and there are these flowers growing in these pots. There's green stuff growing all around, but this person is actually dressed as though for winter. So what that tells me is, what that reminds me of is that, when we're looking back on those fond memories of people, places, and things, when things were going really well in our lives, when we felt really good and supported and loved and included, our brains tend to fill in the gaps. If we have gaps in that memory or understanding, we can get a lot of details wrong. So this is a time when people might come back to us from the past, people might get in touch that we haven't heard from in a long time, or we might be given a reason to go back to a place where we have lived or worked or, been in the past where we had a lovely time, or, a song or a flavor or something like that might actually bring us back to this point of reverie and fond memory. But we should remember that our brain will give us illusions. We should remember that our brain will fill in the gaps and that we don't necessarily remember things as they were. And that doesn't mean it's a bad thing to have a good memory about something. It's just, it's just a reminder that, we can be giving ourselves illusions about those happy memories, right? And also, there's another point of illusion here, and that is like if somebody comes back to you, or you go back to something from your past, and you are so lost in the happy memory, the fondness, that reverie, that you don't see what's going on around you in the present, that can be to your detriment. So don't allow your ideas about the past and how good they were sort of fuzzy out your vision of what's actually going on around you, okay? And with that said, I'm going to turn this card over because I did already shuffle. We got the Five of Swords, okay. So swords, just real quick, are air element symbolism. That's Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini signs. And swords relate to our rationale, our thoughts, plans, communication, and the way we use them. And often in tarot, we talk about, the fact that a sword is a double-edged thing, right? Or it can be. The sword of truth is double-edged. It can be used to help or to do harm, right? So here we have a moment where it appears that, there's been a bit of a sword battle. And, what that translates to is a battle of words, a battle of ideas, a battle of logical arguments, perhaps. And one person comes out the victor. They get to keep all the swords. And the people that lost don't look very happy, and they certainly don't look like they want to be this person's friend. So just remember, you may have a very sharp sword of truth, okay? You may be capable of winning any verbal battle. You may be capable of winning any even trivial verbal disagreement. You may be capable of cutting people right down and not allowing their ideas to thrive at all. And you may even be completely right when you do it. But being right isn't everything if in the end you don't have any support around you, you don't have any people around you that like sparring with you anymore, okay? Because sometimes we just spar a little too rough and then, we alienate people. So, it's a common thing, and we just have to realize, when we've done it, like, it's okay that you were right, and it's okay that, that you felt you were wielding the truth when you cut these other people down. But, it can be kind of lonely at the top there, right? And there are other ways to go about bringing people around to your way of seeing things. Besides just cutting them down, okay? There are other ways to go about bringing people around to see your way of doing things without just beating them in battle, right? Without just like going for the jugular and making them feel like crap, okay? So, we can be friendly, we can use the truth, and we can use compassion, we can use the truth, and we can use humor, all right? The truth does not have to be brutal. And if you think that you're being brutally honest, I would ask you to examine your intentions, because it sounds like your intention in being brutally honest is to be both brutal and honest. And that's the side of the sword that does more harm than good. So, winning isn't everything, friends. says Mars retrograde in Gemini here. Winning isn't everything. So, Mars is the god of conquest, aggression, war, and very straightforward, sort of straight shooter, all right? Probably an excellent, very strong swords person, right? Especially in the land of Gemini, we have thoughts, and we have that rapier wit, right? We can cut to the core with our ideas. We can be very direct. But, in Gemini, Mars's directness is a little bit dispersed. We can get a little confused. We can try to come at a problem from two different directions. So that can be a little bit confusing for people. And then now Mars is retrograde in Gemini. And so, all of our clever ideas about, how to move forward, if they didn't include other people helping us out, other people going along with our ideas, it's all well and good to have the best idea or to be the most right about something. But if you're the only person who knows that you're right, or you're the only person who cares that you're right, then you're not really going to get a lot done, right? And Mars likes to get things done. Mars likes to see progress. Mars likes to show action, show the work, okay? So Mars in retrograde, this could be a very Mars retrograde, right? Like where you get aggressive in a time and place where it's not even necessary for you to have been so aggressive. And now you have to think twice about the way you have behaved and maybe ask yourself how you're going to win these friends back now that you have cut them and made them feel like they can't trust you. Yeah, that comes across pretty clearly. And that Mars retrograde in Gemini, is going to last through January. So if this is the situation you find yourself with Mars in retrograde in Gemini, if you find yourself and I could relate to this, actually, I've been noticing this, feeling very hypercritical, not just of myself, but of other people, of the way people act, of the way people say things. Like sometimes I'm thinking, I just wish people would listen to themselves when they speak, But listen, we're all having that experience right now. We're all in some part of our lives thinking, I wish you would just listen to yourself when you speak. I wish you would just pay attention as well as I pay attention. The thing is, we're all paying attention very well, but it's to different things based on our own trajectory, our own needs and desires, okay? What other people do is not about you, so you don't have to take it personally, and you don't have to make it personal. You don't have to beat people down for not seeing things the way you do and for not saying things the way you would like them to say them, okay? Just a reminder. And let's put this together with the Six of Cups. Now that's interesting. So, you know, the smaller person, the more childlike figure here, I would say, is you know, happily receiving or happily participating in some activity that includes, you know, emotional bonding and fulfillment with other people in, you know, with another person or with other people in the community, perhaps. And then, you know, in the Five of Swords, you have this person who has sort of severed their connection, or at least wounded their connection to other people, okay? So it's possible that we look back on those fond memories and we think, you know, we don't need that kind of cooperation from other people now that we know so much better. You know, like we have these thoughts and ideas and plans, and they're not really based on anything emotional. But what if you have a history with somebody and you just decide that you're so much righter than them that you should break the bond that you have with them? You know, that could be more damaging even to yourself than you know. If you've been relying on this person, you know, for a long time, and if they've stood by you and been a kind friend and loved you and included you, and then, you know, one day out of frustration and anger and feeling slowed down and feeling like people don't listen and pay attention, you just lash out with your sword of truth, and you're telling the truth, but you're being brutal about it, and that person does not appreciate your brutality. People do not appreciate the brutality of your words, okay? So, yeah, that's what comes through there. You know, also there can be this thing where, you know, we get together with people that, you know, our loved ones, our family. Thanksgiving is coming up pretty soon. We get together with our loved ones and our family, and we just don't remember things the way other people remember things. And of course, nobody remembers it correctly, right? Because the brains fill in the gaps, okay? We are all suffering from illusions about our past. Even if we know that really happy, wonderful things happened for us, we don't know everything about what happened there, okay? And we don't remember every single little bit of it. So, you know, having that understanding, you know, if you go into Thanksgiving or into, you know, a family or a group that, you know, that has been about support for you, and you just go in there with your sword of truth and you act all brutal and you cut people down and you disregard and alienate the people who care about you, then you're going to have some work to do. It's going to be a bit of a mess to clean up, friends. And I see that here too with the swords on the ground. It's like, okay, well, everybody just said, fine, screw it, I'll drop my sword. I'm not even arguing with you anymore. I'm walking away from this because I can't stand the way you're talking to me, the way you're treating me right now, okay? So let's be just careful not to go in with guns a-blazing, right, into our family groups, into our friend groups, people that we have a good history with. Let's try to maintain the good history. You know, as long as it doesn't really mean, you know, lying about ourselves or letting injustices go unaddressed, okay? And sometimes when a justice has been unaddressed and we feel very upset about it, it's really hard not to come in with the brutality and just say things frankly the way they are and leave people feeling disappointed. You know, my guidance there would be, you know, if you know you're going to have, say, Thanksgiving dinner with people who deny your past experiences, like the not so good parts of your past experiences, or you know, who love you but deny who you are as you are now. You know, create some boundaries about that. Just have the conversations in advance and just say, if this is going to happen, I'm afraid I cannot include myself, okay? I'm afraid I cannot participate. If this person is going to be present, I'm afraid I cannot participate. If we're going to, you know, like talk politics, or I'm afraid I can't participate if people are not going to treat me with respect the way I would like to be treated. Okay, let's not go in with guns a-blazing. Let's have a little foresight and say, okay, if I think this is going to be a problem, I don't just let that brew until I show up and then I go in and I use my sword of truth and I cut everybody down. Instead, I'm going to keep myself safe. I'm going to create my rules for engagement. I'm going to let everybody know what my rules for engagement are, and I'm going to remove myself from any situation that does not feel supportive. And, I'm going to add to this, friends, that tomorrow is our national midterm election, okay? If you have not voted yet, do not fail to vote. Elections are the most important part of our ability to determine how our lives are going to be lived, okay? If you have fond memories from childhood about how our lives were lived, if you have fond memories of from childhood of sort of feeling free and easy and able to be yourself, and you don't feel like we're living in that world right now, then you have to go and vote for the thing that gives you the most hope. Personally, as a queer woman, there's a lot on the line for me. In terms of marriage equality, in terms of just my ability to get the medical care I might need, and also, in terms of, what did I want to say there? My chances of seeing justice get served, the way that justice comes at queer people sometimes, you would not believe if you haven't been there, okay? But if you've been there, okay? It is very important to vote. It is very important. And I know people feel disillusioned, right? People feel like they don't want to deal with this, public argument that we're having, because it gets more and more ridiculous all the time. But the fact that it gets more and more ridiculous all the time means we have to fight harder to bring back some sensibility to the way we are approaching things in this nation. So please vote. Please vote for what gives you hope. Please vote for what supports you and the people you like and love. Please vote also for what serves the people who are the least served in society. And I think that's all I have to say about it today, friends. Thank you so much for joining me. I truly appreciate your presence. My name is Mel Rose, and I'll see you all back here tomorrow for more astrology today and tarot.